How do I unlock orientation? That's weird. Okay, it's gonna have to be like this, I guess. Zoom in. What the heck is going on with this thing? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna break my stuff. Okay. There we go. All right. Here we go, setting up everybody. All right. Using a size 12 hook. Little tungsten bead head right here. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my camera. It's all over the place. Okay. So we're gonna slap this bad boy on. We're doing a golden stone. I'm gonna use primarily a lot of yellow. And that's, you can do it pretty much however you want with the flies in your area, but bright yellow seems to work real well for my area. If you hear some crying in the background, I apologize. It's just my little girl. But here we go. So when I'm tying this on here, I like to tie a nice even base. Let me figure out what's going to be best here with this camera vision. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to snip off this little tag end early so I can tie it into the body if I can get a hold of it. Now I take my time. A lot of people will rush through their base. I take my time because I want this to be really even, because it really affects how the fly goes through the water. I do a lot of Euro nymphing, and so I want that fly, that nymph anyways, to really sink and cut through. So I want it to not have a large body. I want it to be kind of thin, which is kind of what a lot of people don't do. But also, I want to bring this down pretty far, almost halfway down the round of that shank, and then I come back up as thin as I can to keep that base thin. Next thing I do here is I take this scud backing, put it in the back here so you can see it. This is a little bit wide, but it's all I got for right now, so that's what we're going to use. So, I'm going to take this scud backing here. I like everything to be pretty even, so I want to put it right around that hook line, and I don't just immediately go. I kind of get a, see how I get a loop going like that instead of just keeping it tight, and I loop around that first time to keep it pretty right where I, like in spot where I want it. And I'll tie it down, and see how I stretch this? That helps thin it out so you don't add a whole lot of thickness to this body, because I want this to be thin and to cut through the water really easy. If you get this body fat, sometimes it won't cut through the water the way you need it to. And so I like to go, and I always go down just a little bit farther than where I ended my base. Come back up thin, all the way up to the top. Now, a lot of people think that's wasting material, but it keeps this whole area from here to here really consistent as far as the width of it goes. Then the next thing I like to use is this D-rib. This D-rib stuff is amazing. This is the amber, and it's like a lighter amber. It's not that more orange amber that you sometimes get. And it's shaped like a D. If you can see the end of that, I don't know if you can, but it's got a D shape to it. Okay, take that flat side of that D and put it down on the back side of this hook. And I start up high. I don't go in here, because if you do that, you'll notice you'll have a big old huge bulge right here on your fly. So I go ahead and I bring it all the way up to where the thorax is going to start on the bug. So as I come right here, again, I don't do it super tight. I kind of get a little loop so I can tighten it right in place where I want it. And I get a couple nice tight wraps. Then I start to stretch this thing out so it thins it as I go down the back. And I take my time here. I go real thin, real slow, nice and easy. Make sure it's consistent looking. And I always pull just a hair tighter, not too tight to where you're gonna snap that D-rib. Then I gotta get right in there. Again, go just a little hair farther than where your last spot went when you put the scud backing on. Come all the way back up to the top. Now what I'll do is I'll take this and I wrap it in direction in which I wrap. A lot of people will wrap this way, some people wrap that way. Whichever way you were wrapping, you go that direction. Hold your scud a little bit off, because what'll happen is you'll pull this with you. So you want to pull it a little bit back. Get it going. And this, I'm not putting a bunch of tension, but I am putting some tension to thin it out more towards the bottom end of it. Come around, and I go just a hair low. You might notice that, just because it'll make that spot a little tighter. Come up. I'm going to go all the way around the body. Up to where the thorax starts. Sorry if I was blocking the camera there for a second. Come back up. And as I come farther up the body, I start letting tension off, so I'm not pulling so tight. Kind of had that little short to get done there, so I'm gonna peel that off. But I'm not overly tight. Right up the body, right to where you want that thorax to start. And I think it's gonna be right about there's a good spot. Generally halfway from your shank up, maybe just a hair farther is where I like to go. Then I wrap over the top, and I don't pull this completely tight. I just kind of do a little bit of a snug at first. A little bit snug. A little bit snug. Then I like to wrap around the front. Oh, I lost my spool. That's what happens when you don't put your green cap back on. Okay. Wrap back around it. And then I like to pull it forward some, so it's sitting on the top of the fly and not around the side. Sometimes if you leave it around the back side and you don't bring it back across the face, like on top of the hook, you'll have a nasty lump sticking out the side that's kind of hard to get rid of. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with my flies. I don't mind spending extra time. I usually do it when I have extra time, so it's not really as big of an issue. And I kind of cinch it down right about where I want to lock it off. Hit up a little snippy. Then I really finish it off right here. And I don't go like super crazy, but I like to get a nice good wrap. I know that's tied down. Now we take our scud backing that we tied on in the beginning, and we're gonna pull this really tight right over the back of this. It gives it a little more of a golden look if you see it, and gives it more of an even ribbed look, so it kind of actually looks a little more like a bug than that D-rib. What's nice about doing it on the back is you still have this segmented section looking on the bottom, so it gives it a neat little look. Again, I don't cinch down right tight off the bat. I get a couple of them going before I get too crazy cinching it down. Okay, now got a couple wraps. I fold it back and go right over the same spot again with those wraps and kind of just tie it in. Now you have this leaning back this way because we're going to use this all the way up the body, and we're going to put some wing casing on the back. So now that we're here, I'm going to grab a couple other things here. Oh, I screwed this whole fly up. I didn't put a tail on it to start. What a fool. Okay, just so you know, you're supposed to put a tail on in the beginning. Little tail sticking off like this. This is how you botch a fly tying video. Maybe that's what I should have titled it. How to botch a fly tying video. Okay, well, I'm just gonna finish this one's for sakes, but here you go. I like these rubber legs. I think they're amazing. I use them as the tail as well, and I obviously didn't do it on this one for some reason. So we'll just show you. We go through here. We're gonna tie this on like so, and I get them on the sides. Make sure they're on the side before you really lock it down. Lock it down. We'll snip off over here. Then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, okay? And I make these a little long. I'll go back and trim them when I'm done. But this fly is gonna look funny anyways because it doesn't have a tail. Pull it up, make sure it's on the side, and really cinch it down. Okay. So I usually just put 4 legs on like that real quick. And now we're gonna go, I really like this golden yellow. It's got that real gold look. Some people go with like a bright yellow. Not really into the bright yellow, maybe it's just because it's where I'm at. Even with my legs, they're more of an amber. Everything's more amber. So a lot of people use wax here. I don't. I just use some saliva. Get this thing spread out here. I know it's coronavirus. I guess you're not supposed to put your hand in your mouth and get saliva on there, but guess what? We did it anyways. Now we're gonna go wrap. And I kind of stay thin in the back at first, just so I can gauge where I'm at as I'm making this thorax. But see, I just did kind of one thin wrap right here in the back. Now what we're gonna do, turn this thing a little bit. Oh, messed my camera up. There we go. You've got one thin little wrap in there. Then I come to the front, so that will help hold these legs pointed backwards in the back. Then I start really pumping it in there. I'll come around to the front. Get the front a little bit, and I don't go crazy because I know I'm going to come back to this front edge here in a minute. So I just kind of try to get some in there because I put a bunch on there and figured why not. Now we're going to come back into the middle. And careful with those legs, because as you tie this, it'll wrap those legs up and push them kind of in areas you don't want them. Now that I got a decent base all the way across there, you can kind of see. Spin this thing a little bit. I'm going to get some more in there. And I like to make this somewhat thin. I don't like to have big globs of it. That way I can kind of control the thickness with a little better accuracy. Now I'm going to come back behind those legs where I had that thin wrap. Thicken it up some. To about a little bit thicker than what your body ended at in here. So it looks like it gets a nice consistent rise in size. Now that I'm here, I'm going to peel some of this dubbing back as I'm in the middle of the thorax. I'm gonna make my first wing casing right at this point. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna stretch the scud backing back over this. And I'm gonna tie it off right behind those front legs. Right behind them again. I don't overly worry about that dubbing sticking out. I can fix anything afterwards, and so I just kind of leave it hanging there. And we're gonna pull this back, and this is how we're gonna make this. We're gonna pull it back again, go over it, 2 or 3 times, right? Then we're gonna make a little loop right there, just like that. And we're gonna get a nice, not a big tight cinch, but see how I make that loop with my thread and I pinch it down? Now that's a little big of a loop of the scud backing, so I'll pull it forward right to about where I want it. And if you can see that, you can see how that little loop that I put in the scud backing makes it look like a little bit of a casing, or like a wing casing there. So now that I got that there, let's go ahead and finish it off and get it tied down right before I mess it up. Ooh, hitting stuff. Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure out this whole new camera setup and it's being kind of a pain. Get it right about where you want it. I like it about right there. Then you're going to tie it off the rest of the way. A few more wraps. Bam. Now again, you got to pull this back again one more time here and get your line out in front of it. It's not really as much holding it back as it is getting back out in front of it. Now we're going to finish off with our dubbing again. Let's pull this thing back here. It's out of my way. Now we're just going to wrap that dubbing around with our hand as much as we can. Add a little bit more in. Try to hook up with that piece that you just had. Get it with you. And start wrapping that dubbing in to make this body thick right here. Now I like to make it even with that bead, and I'll show you why here in a minute. As far as even, I mean thickness. So the thickness of the dubbing is equal to the size of the bead head. Now we're going to tie that off in there really well. Not crazy, but decent. We're going to snip the rest of this dubbing out. Bam. Take our scud backing. We're going to pull it back over the front really tight. Because what that's going to do is give us that back look. You see what I did there? How I kind of shimmied it back and forth? And what that does is it helps pull that in behind the bead of the head. I do it again. Now I'm going to bring it back. And right here I'm going to pull tight and really put in some thread here. About 6 or 7 wraps. We're going to put our last wing casing in here by folding this back, making a little loop with the scud, and tying it down. Now, hopefully you can see pretty decently how that leaves these 2 little deals sticking up right here, and they look really a lot like the wing casings, and it just seems to work. I like it. And the guy who showed me this pattern, he knows who he is. I don't know if he wants his name out there, but old TH, you know what's up. Thanks for showing me this pattern, buddy. Come back up here to Almanor, give me a call. We'll go fishing. Then we pull this thing kind of tight, and you cut back like this at an angle. Oh, if I can't not mess it up. And what that does, if you look at this, kind of leaves it at like, can't really see it that well, but you can kind of see it. See, it has like a little angle on it, and it gives it like a little V in here. I really like that look. So then you can finish it however you want. Some people like to whip finish. I'm not a big whip finish person, and I lost my tool a while back and haven't got another one. So here we go. So what I tend to do a big loop, just twist it, especially for beginners. If you're a beginner, then you just loop knot that bad boy in there. If you can get your fat fingers in there. I can't, I got too much stuff in the way. Right around the head. Tighten her down. Now, if you have your hardener, you can use your hardener here, or you can use the nail polish. What I really like to use is the UV hardener, and I'll explain to you exactly why I like to do that. Get this thing in the right position. Driving me nuts. Okay. Yeah. So this UV glue hardener stuff kind of looks bad right there. I really like this stuff. I think it's great. So what I'll do is you get your little light ready to go. You make a nice small drop on this head. Sorry, I'm a little shaky right now. Then you harden it. And what that does is it gives you this, and this little UV light hardens that material I just poured on there. It's great material, great stuff. I like it a lot. I think they say 30 seconds is what you're supposed to do. I get close and I call it, okay, that's good. Then trim up all my little parts here to get this right. So I like these things kind of shorter. I don't really like them super long. I like them to be even though. That's a little better. But so that's kind of what they look like. That's how I tie them here. Obviously, I'm missing the tail on this because I'm a fool. But what I really like about doing it like this is, as you can see right here, how the body doesn't get super thick, it stays thin. A lot of people like to make this body get a lot thicker as it goes up, which makes sense. But I feel like when I make it thin like that and it's going through the water, since I'm doing a lot of tight lining, Euro nymph, Czech nymph, French nymph, when it's going through the water, I feel like that fly cuts better and there's not as much drag on the fly. And obviously, yeah, I'm missing the tail again. Whoops, forgot about that. But there's a golden stone for you. That's how you tie them, except for you add the tail. And there you go, folks. You can see that coming down the water, why a fly would, or a fish would go ahead and take it. So there's your golden stone. I'm gonna have more flies coming here a little bit later today. I think I'm gonna just do some simpler ones next, like a woolly booger. But I've also got my foam hex fly that goes up here in Almanor. It is unbelievably successful. I don't want to say it's the best hex fly, but you never know. It might just be. You'll have to tie one and let me know for yourself. Feel free to comment any suggestions in the bottom, anything you guys think. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a bunch. We'll talk to you here later today.